Keeler, thanks so much. Let's get to a debate about this with Sean Spicer. He's Communications Director for the Republican National Committee. Ben LaBolt, Press Secretary for Obama's 2012 campaign, and A.B. Stoddard, the Associate Editor of The Hill. Ben, let's start with you. This has been a tough year for the president. I don't see how anybody could disagree with the idea that it was his toughest year.
I don't.
And how does he turn it around?
Well, I think we have to take a look at the historical precedent. And both President Reagan and President Clinton had similarly low moments in their presidencies. The thing that turned it around for them was the economy, and I think that's why you saw the president focus on that today. The greater economic growth over the last quarter than we've seen. 2 million more jobs, 8 million over the president's term that we've seen created. And I think that's what you're going to see him hammer home next year. He's already said that he's going to focus in on income inequality. That's the top issue that the American people are focused on right now. And get behind issues like raising the minimum wage to $10, giving people across the country purchasing power to buy back in to the economy. And I think as the economy continue to expand and jobs continue to be created over the next few years, you'll see his approval rating follow.
The economy is in better shape than the president's approval rating would suggest. We have record highs on the Dow. We do have upwardly revised job growth for the third quarter, 4%. I know it's not where it needs to be, and I know there are a lot of people unemployed. I'm not trying to make light of it or shine a bad apple, but it is better than a 41% approval rating would suggest.
Well, I think, again, you have to measure that. I mean, it was from where it could be during the Bush years when the Democrats thought it was horrible, they would have called this horrendous. And I think we're judging, saying an F is now a D-, and that's improvement. That's not good enough. It wasn't good enough, 6, 7 years ago. It shouldn't be good enough now. Our national debt continues to soar. And as you point out, there are millions and millions of people out of work. But the problem that we're going to have is heading into the second term, Obamacare is not going to get better. And you saw them issue the 14th waiver, if you will, today for Obamacare, because more and more people...
Allowing catastrophic plans to continue.
Because what's happening is this thing is not getting better with time. It's not just confined to a few glitches on a website. As more and more people's plans get canceled and their doctors aren't with the new plan that they set up in the exchange, and the premiums go up, there's going to be a lot more dissatisfaction with people because we haven't seen the other shoe fall, which is that corporations are going to start to move more and more employees into exchanges and off of the plans they have. So it's going to get worse, not better.
Maybe I know that the spin from Democrats is ultimately, and especially by the midterms in 2014, the Affordable Care Act is going to be a winner. There are going to be more people with insurance than people who didn't have it before. People are going to start to see the benefits of it. What do Democrats on the Hill actually think?
Well, that's what they say out loud.
But what do they say when they're off the record?
But what the problem is, we're looking at a time span. More people might be insured, but that's not sure that people are going to be looking at the Affordable Care Act through next October. There are waves of developments that will happen in January, in March, and late spring, and then in July when the employer mandate kicks back in and people learn whether or not their companies are going to keep them on the plan they liked. There might not be enough time, Democrats say privately, to stand by the law, maybe in 3 years, but before they're in high season of campaign next September, maybe not. And so that's the political pressure that Democrats are under right now, is finding a way to offer repairs and seem like they're supporting the overhaul of the system in general, but able to criticize the parts that aren't working.
Well, if you look at a Democrat like Mary Landrieu, who's one of the
Senator from Louisiana,
one of the top targets next year, today she was doing everything she could to distance herself from the law when the president issued this additional waiver for catastrophic for people who had catastrophic plans. She was saying that she was part of the solution. Again, another one of the architects of the plan who cast the vote, who spread the, quote, lie of the year that if you like your plan, you can keep it. But you're seeing these targeted Democratic senators and House members do everything that they can to distance themselves from Obamacare and from the plan that they helped author and the rhetoric that they themselves spread.
Ben.
But Republicans are campaigning again and again and again to repeal the law in its entirety. Yes. You voted over 40 times to do that, and the American people are opposed to that. They believe that the law should be strengthened, and now the Republicans are going to be out there campaigning against the 15,000 people a day who are enrolling in coverage in California, the 3,000 people a day in Kentucky, where Mitch McConnell, by the way, has the worst approval rating of any senator in the country and is up for re-election. That's going to be a challenge.
We could talk all night about Obamacare, and I'm sure we'll have you back. But I want to ask you one question about the president's, the lack of trust that people have in him. One of the most shocking things that's happened in the last 2 or 3 months in his poll numbers is that a plurality of Americans do not find him worthy as opposed to finding him trustworthy, and the numbers of people who think that he cares about them as opposed to the Republican Party caring about them. The President Obama still has an edge, but it was once a 26-point edge. Now it's a 6-point edge. How does he repair that?
Well, if you take a look at CNN's poll today, 12% of people were disappointed in the president because they didn't think he was liberal enough. In 2012, we spent a lot of time working to regain the trust of previous supporters of the president. I think they're disappointed that the Affordable Care Act, that the website didn't work as they hoped it would. But now as things turn around, as you see millions of people across the country enroll in the state exchanges and eventually in the federal exchange, I think you'll see him regain the trust of those previous supporters.
But you look beyond the top line numbers. You have a 23% dip in Hispanics, a huge dip in youth voters. So these are the president's base walking from him, saying it's not this isn't just independents or right, moderate Republicans. This is the president's base saying we're rejecting these policies.
But they haven't come over to the Republican Party. The Republican Party in Washington's approval rating is even worse, and so they're rejecting inaction in Washington.
Into these final 2 years, and his base isn't standing firm with him. When you're watching Hispanics walk from him, and he's saying for the 5th or 6th year in a row, I'm going to champion immigration reform, they've just lost the credibility factor, not just the trust, has been lost.
Amy, I want to give you the final word. What do you see happening on Capitol Hill when it comes to the debt ceiling fight? Is this going to turn into like a government shutdown? Is it going to be that bad?
No, I really think both parties are not interested in that kind of a standoff. Again, I think you'll hear a lot in January from Democrats about the extension of unemployment insurance and Republican opposition to food stamp programs and their war on poor. Republicans will say we want the approval of Keystone Pipeline or some kind of Obamacare delay. They'll ask for something in exchange for raising the debt ceiling. In the end, I think you'll see a very modest bipartisan deal that is similar, voted similarly the way that this budget deal just came out. A lot of Republican opposition, but a bipartisan deal that approves it.
Amy Satter, Ben LeBolt, Sean Spicer, thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend. Merry Christmas to all of you.